We're going to go through options of what happens when something goes wrong. And there's several ways that a request can fail. And I think this add-on provides most of the tools, if not all the tools, to try to gracefully handle that as much as possible. If you're looking to do some quick error handling, my recommendation would be to use a tag structure that looks like this from the docs. So what this says, if we have an error message, then we'll show that. If it's empty, we're just going to simply show no results. And if there's no error, then we can go over our data loop. So if I hit save and refresh, then we get that something went wrong. The remote server responded with an error. So that's our error message. Now, if I did a status code of 200, and what this will do, I'm going to put empty. This just responds with success, but there's nothing in there. Then we'll get the no results. Now, it's important to note that no results means that there was no body or there was an empty array. If your API responds with like results and then there's an empty array, then this will not be empty because it still responded with something. It's just telling you that it's empty. Another way to approach it is by using status codes. So I'm going to replace this and show you we can do status code of 0, which means an internal error, such as there's no URL or it's a malformed URL, a 404 not found error, a 429 that's just too many requests, like a rate limiting, or just a 200 where it's success, and then we can treat it like that. The last way to look at is I'm going to paste it in here and go through it kind of one by one, and then I'll show an example. So this says if we have an internal error, then we want maybe some more debug information. If it wasn't successful, like it didn't get a successful error code, meaning it's not in the 200 range, it's a 300 or 400 or 500 error, then we're going to show a message, but then we're going to go dig into some specific messages. We'll dig in an example. And then the last one is if we did get a successful response, we do still want to check and see if it was empty. And then otherwise we can get the data just like we normally would. Now let's try error handling on an actual example. So to do that, I'm going to say, let's start with creating a video ID that doesn't exist. So if it's save and refresh, our video is now gone because it doesn't exist. Now we know if I do error message and hit save that it's telling us that remote server responded with an error. So first, let's go into our debug, save and refresh, and see what it responded with. So it gives us a type, a title, and a status for this particular API. Every API is going to be different. So this one says it gives us a nice response message. So maybe let's use that. So we can say like, if not okay, then maybe let's keep our error message and then we'll give it the title here. And keep in mind that this is still in a data loop. So we still want our data loop since this was included in our data. And close that loop. And then we're also going to add if okay to this loop so we don't see raw tags. I'm going to save. I need to take out debug and refresh. And there we go. The remote server responded with an error, and that error is the resource could not be found. Just keep in mind that every API is different, and each one will need a little bit of work to get kind of the best results when something goes wrong.